All right, let's get into this. Happy Monday, by the way. I hope everybody had a great weekend. It's Monday night. And I think a lot of Michigan fans are heading into this week feeling two things at the same time: disappointment and belief. And honestly, both are very justified after what we saw against Duke. And so, first off, I want to be clear about something, because losing to Duke right now is not some red flag moment. This isn't dropping a game to an unranked mid-major in November. This is losing to what is, as of this week, the number one team in America, the Duke Blue Devils, a roster stacked with NBA talent, elite length, shooting everywhere, and a defensive ceiling that might be the best in college basketball. That's the measuring stick. And Michigan went toe-to-toe with them for long stretches. And that's why, strangely enough, this game actually reinforces Michigan's legitimacy rather than undermining it. Because if you zoom out for a second from the result and you just watch the tape, the Michigan Wolverines look like a team that absolutely belongs in the national title conversation. I mean, we can say that now beyond a shadow of a doubt. They executed, they created good looks, they defended with physicality. I mean, it was an extremely physical ball game. And most importantly, they didn't look overwhelmed. Not at all. I mean, it was a dogfight. It was a good game. It was must-see TV. And that matters, because a lot of teams get on the floor with Duke and immediately look a tier below. And that's been the case with Michigan this year as well, but that didn't look that way this weekend. They looked very evenly matched. Now, Duke eventually imposed its will. They won the game. That's what great teams do. They have those 5-minute stretches where suddenly a tie game becomes a 12-point deficit, and you're asking, well, what just happened? But even inside those runs, Michigan's structure held. They didn't unravel. They didn't start freelancing. They kept running offense. They kept competing on the glass. They kept guarding. I think they missed a little too many shots. I think there were some rebounds that went the other way. But I mean, it was a close game. It was a very even matched game. And that's a tournament caliber trait. That's championship DNA showing through a loss. And that brings me to the man steering this whole thing, which is Dusty May. Because what we're seeing right now at Michigan feels very similar to something we just watched unfold in college football over the past year. And I'm going to say something that might sound bold, but the more you think about it, the more it tracks. Dusty May is the Curt Cignetti of college basketball. I mean, you look at what Curt Cignetti did: instant culture, instant belief, instant competitiveness. Guy walks into the program and suddenly expectations accelerate. Timeline compresses. What was supposed to be year 3 success becomes year 1 or year 2. That's exactly the energy around Michigan basketball right now. I mean, you got to remember where this program was just recently. Inconsistent identity, uneven roster fit, drifting national relevance. And in what feels like a blink, literally, Michigan now plays with cohesion, spacing, defensive purpose, and most of all, confidence against elite teams. That's coaching impact. That's system clarity. That's buy-in. And here's the key part. Michigan didn't look like a team hoping to keep it close with Duke. They look like a team expecting to win. That psychological shift is enormous. Because championship runs aren't just about talent. They're about internal expectation. And this Michigan group carries itself like a team that believes it belongs on the final weekend of the season. That's what it looks like to me. So when fans panic about a February loss to the number one team, I think they're missing the bigger arc here. This game didn't eliminate Michigan from anything. If anything, it clarified the path, that you're close enough that the gap is tactical, not existential. That's the best place a contender can be in late season. And let's also acknowledge some reality, because Duke right now might be the most complete team in the country. They defend at every level, they rebound, they protect the rim, and they have multiple shot creators who can break defensive structure late in possessions. I mean, when Michigan did everything right for 20 seconds, Duke still had guys who could hit tough shots over length. That's elite team stuff. But here's the part people should keep in mind. March is not a 7-game series. It's single elimination, variance matters, matchups matter, shooting nights matter, and the gap between Duke and Michigan, based on what we just watched, is not some insurmountable chasm. It's a handful of possessions, a couple defensive rotations, maybe one scoring drought too long. That's why it's absolutely plausible, not hypothetical, but plausible, that these teams see each other again in the NCAA tournament. Sweet 16, Elite 8, maybe even later. And if they do, nobody in Durham is going to be celebrating that draw, because Michigan has already proven it can stand on the floor with them physically and schematically. And that's the hallmark of a true contender. You can lose to the number one team and still walk away more respected than before. And now let's circle back to the Dusty May factor, because this is where the championship talk becomes real instead of wishful. The biggest indicator that a team is on a title trajectory isn't record, it's growth curve. And Michigan's curve is steep. You can see week to week refinement. Offensive timing tighter, defensive communication cleaner, rotation shorter, roles clear. I mean, that's a team peaking toward March. And great coaches build teams that look their best at the end. And that's exactly what this feels like. Michigan today is visibly better than Michigan 2 months ago. That's dangerous. And culturally, the comparison to Cignetti holds in another way, because both guys create belief fast. Players talk differently, body language changes, close games feel winnable instead of fragile. That shift alone can add multiple wins in a tournament environment where confidence often decides coin flip matchups. So yeah, I mean, they lost, but this is the kind of loss contenders have. Competitive, instructive, narrowing. They were not going to go undefeated the rest of the way, folks. They're going to lose one. Let it be Duke. Let it be the number one team in the country. You now know precisely what the number one team looks like up close to Michigan. You also know that it could have went the other way, and that Michigan could still be the number one team in the country. It's that close. You know where you matched up. You know where you didn't. You know what needs tightening before March. And that's valuable information. It's not a setback. And I'll go one step further. If these teams meet again, Michigan will be better prepared than Duke. You mark my words, because Duke played a high-level game it expects to play. Michigan played a high-level game it's still growing into. That's more developmental runway on the Michigan side. And that matters in March rematches. So the takeaway for Michigan fans shouldn't be frustration. It should be perspective. You just watched your team go head-to-head with the number one team in the country and look like it belonged in the same championship conversation. 1A, 1B. I mean, that's not common. That's earned. The path to a national title almost always includes a loss like this. It's the kind that reveals you're close. And right now, Michigan looks close. Close enough that if brackets break right, shots fall, and this Dusty May built trajectory keeps climbing, there's nothing unrealistic about picturing Michigan cutting down nets. Because the truth after this Duke game is simple. Michigan didn't fall out of contention at all. They confirmed they're in it. Keep it locked. You're listening to Midnight Sports Detroit.